The gunshot echoed like a crack in the sky, sharp and unforgiving, slicing through the quiet afternoon. For a split second, everything froze, the pigeons mid-flight, the passing cars slowing in confusion, and a little girl standing on the edge of a crosswalk, her wide eyes locked on the man who had just stepped in front of her. He didn't even hesitate. Rafiq Halim, a single father with tired eyes and worn shoes, had seen danger before anyone else did. And in that heartbeat between life and death, he chose her over himself. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet heroes who walk among us, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Stories. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that remind us what it truly means to be human. The sun was high, casting a clean, bright light across the busy street. It was an ordinary day, children laughing, vendors calling out their prices, the distant hum of life moving forward. Rafiq had just finished a long shift at a construction site, his shirt stained with dust and sweat, his mind already drifting to his 7-year-old son waiting at home. Life hadn't been kind to him. After losing his wife 3 years ago to illness, he had been forced to raise his son alone. Every rupee he earned went toward rent, food, and school supplies. There were nights when he skipped meals just so his child wouldn't have to. But despite the hardships, Rafiq carried a quiet strength. He never complained. He simply kept going. That afternoon, as he crossed the street, he noticed something that didn't belong. A man on a motorcycle, his movements tense, his eyes darting with urgency. And then he saw the little girl, standing still, unaware, clutching a small teddy bear. Everything happened in seconds. The motorcycle sped forward, and the man pulled out a gun. Panic erupted, but it was already too late for anyone to react, except Rafiq. He lunged forward, wrapping his arms around the child just as the trigger was pulled. The impact was immediate and brutal. Pain exploded through his side, stealing the air from his lungs. The force knocked him to the ground, his body shielding the girl beneath him. The world blurred, sounds fading into a distant echo. But the girl was safe. 3 minutes. That's how long it took for everything to change. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder with each passing second. People gathered, their voices overlapping in shock and fear. Someone called for help. Someone else tried to stop the bleeding. And in the middle of it all, Rafiq struggled to stay conscious, his thoughts drifting not to himself, but to his son. He couldn't leave him alone in this world. Not like this. Then she arrived. A black car screeched to a halt, and a woman stepped out with urgency in every movement. Zara Qureshi, a CEO known for her sharp mind and unshakable composure, looked nothing like the powerful figure people saw in boardrooms. In that moment, she was just a mother, terrified, desperate, and searching. Her eyes found the little girl instantly. Ayana. The child, still trembling, broke into tears and ran toward her. Zara dropped to her knees, pulling her daughter into a tight embrace, her hands shaking as she checked for injuries. "I'm okay, Mama," the girl whispered, her voice fragile. "He saved me." Zara followed her gaze. And there he was. Rafiq lay on the pavement, his shirt soaked with blood, his face pale but peaceful in a strange, quiet way. The crowd parted as Zara approached, her heart pounding in her chest. She had seen many things in her life, success, failure, betrayal, triumph. But nothing had prepared her for this. A stranger had taken a bullet for her child. Without a second thought. "Call the ambulance faster," she shouted, her voice breaking through the chaos. She knelt beside him, her hands pressing against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. "Stay with me," she urged, her voice softer now. "Please, stay with me." Rafiq's eyes fluttered open, just enough to see her face. For a moment, he didn't understand where he was. Then the pain returned, grounding him in reality. He glanced at the little girl, now safe in her mother's arms, and a faint smile touched his lips. "She's "Okay," he murmured. Zara nodded, tears streaming down her face. "She's safe because of you." The ambulance arrived moments later, paramedics rushing to take over. As they lifted Rafik onto the stretcher, his grip weakly reached out, as if holding onto something invisible. "Please," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "My son, he's alone." Those words stayed with Zara long after the ambulance doors closed. The hospital was a place of waiting, of hope and fear tangled together in an endless loop. Zara sat in the corridor, her daughter asleep beside her, her mind replaying the scene over and over again. She couldn't shake the image of Rafik's face. The way he had looked at her child. The way he had smiled despite the pain. Hours passed before a doctor finally emerged. "He's stable," the doctor said. "The bullet missed vital organs, but he lost a lot of blood. He'll need time to recover." Relief washed over Zara, but it was quickly replaced by something deeper, something she couldn't ignore. Gratitude. And responsibility. The next morning, Zara did something she had never done before. She cancelled all her meetings, ignored her emails, and focused on one thing. Finding Rafik's son. It didn't take long. With the help of the police, she tracked down the small apartment where Rafik lived. The door creaked open to reveal a boy with cautious eyes and a hopeful expression. "Are you Baba's friend?" he asked. Zara's heart tightened. She knelt down to his level, offering a gentle smile. "Your father is in the hospital," she said softly. "He's hurt, but he's going to be okay." The boy's eyes filled with tears, but he nodded bravely. "I'll take care of you until he comes home," Zara continued, her voice steady despite the emotion rising within her. And she meant it. Days turned into weeks. Rafik slowly recovered, unaware of the changes unfolding in his absence. His son was no longer alone. Zara had taken him into her home, ensuring he was safe, fed, and cared for. Ayana, the little girl he had saved, refused to leave the boy's side. They became inseparable, bound by a moment that had changed both their lives. When Rafik finally woke fully, his first thought was of his son. And when he saw Zara standing by his bedside, holding the boy's hand, he didn't know what to say. "You saved my world," Zara told him, her voice filled with emotion. "Now let me help you rebuild yours." Rafik was a man of pride. He wasn't used to accepting help. But this wasn't charity. This was something else. Something real. Zara offered him a job, one that matched his skills, one that provided stability and dignity. She ensured his son received the education he deserved. She didn't just repay a debt. She changed a future. And in doing so, she changed her own. Because sometimes, it takes a single act of courage to remind us of what truly matters. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to like, share, and comment. Stories like these deserve to be heard, to be felt, and to inspire others to believe in the power of kindness. And before we close, tell us in the comments, have you ever witnessed or experienced a moment of unexpected bravery or kindness? Your story might inspire someone else. Rafik didn't see himself as a hero. He was just a father. But in one moment, he became something more. A reminder that even in a world filled with uncertainty, there are still people who choose to stand in the line of fire, not for recognition, not for reward, but simply because it's the right thing to do. And sometimes, that choice can change everything.